Welcome to the hottest news channel 24 hours. Who is Francesco Bidoganetti, the mafia boss convicted for threatening Saviano and Capacchione? Francesco Bidoganetti, known by the nickname Cicciotto e Mezzanotte, roughly Chubby Midnight, is one of the most notorious and feared bosses of the Caserta branch of the Camorra criminal organization. A key figure in the powerful Casalesi clan, he was convicted of numerous crimes, including threatening writer Roberto Saviano and journalist Rosaria Capacchione, both of whom were involved in exposing the clan's criminal activities. His personal biography and criminal career are intertwined with some of the darkest chapters in organized crime in the Campania region. Who is Francesco Bidoganetti? Age and background. Nickname, Chubby Midnight. Date of birth, January 29, 1951. Place of birth, Casal di Principi, province of Caserta. Bidoganetti grew up in an environment heavily influenced by the Camorra, and by his early 20s, he had already become one of the area's most feared young men. His criminal career took off in the 1970s and 1980s, during which he stood out for his ruthlessness and his ability to form strategic alliances within the Camorra world. Francesco Bidoganetti, wife and children. Bidoganetti's first wife passed away. He later maintained a relationship for over 30 years with another woman who eventually became a cooperating witness with the authorities. He has at least 4 children, some of whom have been involved in the clan's activities and have been arrested over the years. Bidoganetti's role in the Casalesi clan. For years, Bidoganetti was the right-hand man to Francesco Schiavone, known as Sandokan, and later became an independent leader of one of the most powerful factions of the Casalesi clan. His power was reinforced through control of numerous illegal operations. Even after his arrest in 1993 and incarceration under the strict 41 bis prison regime used for mafia bosses, Bidoganetti continued to play a leading role in the organization, issuing orders through family members and loyalists. He was one of the main defendants in the Spartacus Maxi trial, which concluded in 2010 with a life sentence for him and other top clan leaders. The threats against Saviano and Capacchione. Bidoganetti was also convicted for orchestrating threats against writer Roberto Saviano, author of the best-selling Expose Camorra, and journalist Rosaria Capacchione, who extensively reported on the Casalesi clan. These threats were part of a broader campaign of intimidation aimed at silencing those who dared to reveal the clan's secrets to the public. In 2008, during the appeal trial of the Spartacus case in Naples, Francesco Bidoganetti, through his lawyer Michele Santonastaso, openly threatened Roberto Saviano and Rosaria Capacchione. This act of intimidation took place directly in court and was widely seen as a mafia-style strategy meant to silence those who exposed the criminal organization's activities. In July 2025, the Rome Court of Appeals upheld the sentences, 1.5 years in prison for Bidoganetti and 1 year and 2 months for his lawyer. The threats were officially recognized as being rooted in mafia tactics, part of a broader plan of intimidation and territorial control. Saviano challenged him, Capacchione exposed him, but who really is Cicciotto e Mezzanotte, man behind Camorra? Francesco Bidoganetti, boss of the Casalesi clan, has now been convicted of threatening both Saviano and Capacchione. This marks yet another chapter in his long criminal history, a key figure in organized crime in Campania. Bidoganetti gained infamy through his role in the Casalesi clan and for orchestrating threats against journalist Rosaria Capacchione and writer Roberto Saviano, the author of Camorra. Born on January 29, 1951, in Casal di Principi, Bidoganetti became known by the nickname Cicciotto e Chubby Midnight, a name reportedly derived from his childhood, a habit of making midnight runs from Piazza Villa to Villa Lit. He was first arrested in 1990 and ultimately captured again in December 1993 in an apartment in Luciano. Since then, he has been imprisoned under Italy's strict 41 bis prison regime, reserved for top mafia leaders to limit their outside communication. Within the Casalesi clan, Francesco Bidognetti specialized primarily in the illegal handling of urban, industrial and toxic waste, a criminal enterprise that earned him infamy in the early 1990s. His brutality was evident in October 1993 when he orchestrated the arrest of Dr. Gennaro Falco for allegedly failing to diagnose a tumor in Bidognietti's first wife, Teresa Tamburino, in time. On March 14, 2008, during the Spartacus trial, Bidognetti instructed his lawyer, Michele Santonastauso, to read aloud a threatening message addressed to Roberto Saviano and Rosaria Capacchione, a journalist for Il Mattino, labeling them as prosecutor-sponsored mouthpieces. This moment marked the beginning of a wave of threats that forced Saviano to increase his security and eventually led to his temporary exile from Italy in October 2008. The threat stemmed from the Camorra's rage towards Saviano's investigative work, which brought national attention and heightened law enforcement scrutiny to the Casale di Principi area through his articles and best-selling book Camorra, which drew heavily from real-life Camorra bosses. According to Anna Carino, a former partner of Bidognetti, who later became a cooperating witness, Saviano was targeted for saying too many uncomfortable truths about them and for disrupting the clan's false sense of calm within its territory through his journalism. Just hours ago, the Rome Court of Appeals upheld the conviction of Francesco Bidognetti and his lawyer, Michele Santonastauso, for the threats made against Saviano and Capacchione. The ruling, which brought Saviano to tears, sentenced the Casalesi boss to 1 year and 6 months in prison, and his lawyer to 1 year and 2 months, confirming the lower court's judgment from May 2021. The Spartacus trial concluded in January 2010, with Bidognetti and 15 other top mafia bosses sentenced to life imprisonment, totaling over 700 years of sentences. The verdict struck a devastating blow to the leadership of the Casalesi clan, effectively dismantling the organization's historical command structure. Francesco Bidognetti, born January 21, 1951, in Casale di Principi, is a powerful Italian camerista. He served as the lieutenant to Francesco Schiavone, the boss of the Casalesi clan based in Casale di Principi, in the province of Caserta, and he was also the head of the Bidognetti faction, one of the 5 families that make up the Casalesi organization. He is known by the nickname Cicciotto e The Bidognetti and Tavelletta factions were especially powerful in the northern towns of Caserta province. They operated several illegal waste dumps between Naples and Caserta, where tons of hazardous waste from northern and central Italy were dumped alongside toxic materials from factories, hospitals and cemeteries. As a result, Bidognetti came to be known by Italian law enforcement as the waste management boss of the Casalesi clan. Bidognetti's mistress, Angela Barra, controlled the Teverola territory and served as a key liaison for the clan's political and economic alliances. In 1990, Bidognetti allegedly ordered the murder of Dr. Gennaro Falco for failing to properly care for his wife, specifically for not diagnosing her cancer in time. His nephew, Gaetano Cerci, was reportedly a crucial link between the Casalesi clan and Licio Gelli, the former head of the now-dissolved P2 Masonic Lodge. Several wiretapped phone calls, recorded by Rome police, revealed that Cerci had stayed multiple times at Gelli's residence, Villa Wanda. In 1993, the villa was searched by order of the Naples prosecutor, though police failed to locate the computer disks they had been seeking. His wife turned state witness, Bidognetti's longtime partner after the death of his first wife, eventually became a key informant for the authorities. Her decision to cooperate with the justice system was a major blow to the Casalesi clan. By providing detailed accounts of the inner workings of the organization, she contributed to numerous investigations and arrests. Her testimony exposed not only the clan's criminal network but also Bidognetti's role in orchestrating violence and managing illicit operations, even while imprisoned under the strict 41 bis regime. Anna Carino, the wife of Francesco Bidognetti, was arrested in November 2007 and charged with passing messages from her imprisoned husband to his subordinates on the outside. She later became a Pentita mafia informant and began providing intelligence that led to several major raids, targeting suspected members of the Her cooperation was instrumental in the April 2008 arrests of 52 members of the Casalesi clan, including Bidognetti's son Raf. Due to the high value of her testimony, Anna was later transferred to a high-security prison after reports surfaced that the Casalesi clan had placed a £1 million bounty on her head. Citation: two of Francesco Bidognetti's sons, Aniello and Raffaello, were recently placed under the harsh 416 bis prison regime, which is reserved for those involved in mafia-related crimes. In October 2003, Francesco Bidognetti and his son Aniello were indicted for the murder of Dr. Gennaro Falco in the town of Per. 2 weeks later, Casalesi clan members Sebastiano Caterino and Umberto De Falco were also murdered, in what appeared to be further acts of internal purging or silencing. Eventually, in June 2008, Bidognetti, Francesco Schiavone and 14 other Casalesi bosses were sentenced to life imprisonment in the Spartacus Maxi trial. 2 other clan leaders, Michele Zagaria and Antonio Iovini, received the same sentence. Iovini was captured on November 17, 2010, and Zagaria was arrested on December 7, 2011. The Spartacus trial lasted over 10 years and was named to signify the scale and intensity of the struggle against the criminal empire that had taken hold in Casalesi territory. In total, 36 members of the clan were tried for murders and various mafia-related crimes. All were convicted, with 16 sentenced to life. The case involved more than 500 witnesses and resulted in the heaviest penalties ever handed down in an Italian mafia trial, with a combined total of over 700 years in prison during the course of both the trial and the appeals process. 5 individuals connected to the case were murdered, including a court interpreter. 1 judge and 2 anti-mafia journalists were also threatened with death. In March 2008, through his lawyer in court, Francesco Bidognetti publicly accused prosecutor Antonio Cantoni of the Naples Anti-Mafia Directorate (DDA) of being excessively influenced by Pentiti mafia informants and anti-mafia journalists, specifically Rosaria Capaccioni of Il Mattino and Roberto Saviano, author of the best-selling book Gomorrah, which detailed the Casalesi clan's operations. His lawyer also requested the transfer of the ongoing trials involving Bidognetti and fugitive boss Antonio Iovini to Rome, citing reasonable suspicion of local bias. On May 2, 2008, Umberto Bidognetti, the uncle of Francesco Bidognetti, was murdered in Castelvolturno after his son Domenico decided to cooperate with the police. Umberto had reportedly refused police protection following his son's decision to become a state witness. The following month, in Villa Rica, a hit squad disguised as police officers wounded a niece of Anna Carino. She was shot in the abdomen after opening her door. Carino's cooperation had already led to the arrest of several of Bidognetti's associates. However, investigators believed that the actual target may have been the woman's mother, Anna Carino's sister. These acts of violence were believed to be part of a deliberate campaign of intimidation and retaliation orchestrated by Antonio Iovini and Michele Zagaria, both powerful Casalesi bosses, to discourage potential collaborators from assisting law enforcement. Later, on November 21, 2008, Gianluca Bidognetti, Francesco's son, was arrested and charged with the attempted murder of Anna Carino's niece.